So Vegeta has finally arrived at Yardrat and he is greeted by two different versions of their species. They initially mistaken Iriko for Vegeta, but the patrolman is able to clear up all of the confusion. Anywho, the Yardratian then mentions that the Ginyu Force were actually here causing a ruckus before Goku completely humbled them, and this begs the question for the prince, wondering which one of these guys taught Goku instant transmission. Suddenly, the literal P-Brain disables his shadow clone technique, and the sole Yardratian guides Vegeta to Goku's mentor, Elder Paibara. Somehow, he also gets confused between Iriko and Vegeta, even though you can see that McDonald's hairline from 1,000 miles away. Vegeta then questions the Elder if he has any techniques to defeat Moro, but he assumes that there must be a misunderstanding because their race are not a jack of all trades, and instead they focus on honing on one singular ability called Spirit Control. One of the many perks of the ability includes growing in size, and I already knew that Vegeta was sold on the idea because he really wanted to beat the midget allegations to finally be taller than Bulma. Meanwhile, the Macarini gang have finally arrived on Earth and Piccolo already senses a disturbance in the Force, so he exits the lookout to arrive at their landing location, but they decide to ignore the pacifist route and end up firing at Piccolo with their ship. The Namekian takes his own dodging advice by standing on top of their vehicle, and the three of them realize that melee combat is the only way they're gonna beat him. To burst their bubble, Piccolo slides to the left to avoid their flurry of whip attacks. However, Penne tries to catch him off guard by unleashing her inner grab Piccolo. The Namekian ends up using his own cape as bait and utilizes his own stretchy arm technique to finally defeat the Macarini gang. Jarko then explains to Bulma and the others of the tragedy on Namek and goes on to say that Moro has sent his party of convicts across the entire galaxy. Piccolo has already sent the Macarini gang well on their way, but then they demand him to make sure that the three of them don't escape. Angered at their manipulation, Piccolo shoots down their ship to stop them from leaving Earth's orbit, but it's sadly too late because they just finished their phone call with Moro, which leads to a stronger party being sent directly to Earth. At the same time, Merus is still training Goku, but the Saiyan is getting absolutely clobbered because his emotions are scattered all over the place. Merus describes that emotions like anger or tingly feelings are a great source of power like Goku's Super Saiyan forms, but what the Saiyan is truly after is quite the opposite. The patrolman then goes on to say that for Goku to activate Ultra Instinct once again, he has to stay calm even in an emotionally shocking situation. The pair of them then walk into the pyramids of Giza, which is actually revealed to be another hyperbolic time chamber. But unlike the one on Earth, one day outside is actually only 3 days inside here. But Merus is elated about this because he can actually train Goku at full strength without anyone noticing. Krillin then gets caught up with the recent events and is actually the only one available at the moment to fight Moro's forces. This leaves Jarko warning Krillin and Piccolo that the one person that they should be worried about is an android named 7-3, because he has the ability to copy someone else's power for half an hour by grabbing their neck. Krillin then questions how long they've got until the inmates arrive, and Jarko says that they've got 10 days. And just as the Earthling is about to go train, 3 convicts rock up to the lookout using a portal, which was actually a stolen ability from some porcupines.
You what?
Afterwards, Shimaraka greets Pasta to relay a message from the goat himself, which is that anyone that would dare betray him deserves to be exterminated. Before anyone could be sent to the Shadow Realm, Piccolo grabs Shimaraka to iterate that the sanctuary is a no-killing zone, but this was perfect for 7-3 because he seizes the chance to grab Piccolo's neck, causing all of his abilities to be copied. To experiment with his new moveset, the android fires a special beam cannon piercing right through the lookout and ends up punching Jarko right off the platform Super Smash Bros style. The Namekian goes to aid Jarko and Krillin tries to tag along, but he ultimately gets stopped by another criminal named Yumba. The patrolman then scolds the Namekian for getting his neck touched even with his warning, and advises that he should assume that he's fighting himself since the stolen powers are as strong as the original. 7-3 goes to reach Piccolo with his stretchy arms, but the two of them end up locking hands together. This leads to the pair of fighters scrapping like cavemen because they start engaging with headbutts, but 7-3 is able to catch Piccolo by surprise by using his own mouth cannon, forcing the Namekian out the sky. 18 would be embarrassed to watch Krillin's fight because Yumba literally turns himself into a basketball to one-shot Krillin off the platform. Meanwhile, 7-3 and Piccolo are clashing with their special beam cannons, and Piccolo is screaming as if his finger's about to fall off. Like seriously, how are you gonna let the villains use your moves better than you can? However, all hope is not lost because Gohan swoops in by punching 7-3 in the sternum, and he checks on his mentor to see if he's alright. Piccolo decides to save the chit chat for later, but warns Gohan to make sure that 7-3 does not touch his neck, and he confirms that right at this moment Gohan is the strongest warrior they've got on Earth. 7-3 interrupts their conversation by mashing the key blast button, but this leaves Gohan confused and why in advance being like him is having the aim of a stormtrooper, but the scholar uses his abundance of brain cells to notice that 7-3 is using Piccolo's Hellzone grenade.
Damn.
He really about to rock my shit.
After watching Gohan's brilliant performance, the Namekian had to paint the Demon Clan in a good light and gives Gohan his set of clothes. That was enough time for 7-3 to utilize Piccolo's giant mode in an attempt to flatten the two of them like a pancake, but the half Saiyan literally has got him taking up bird watching and fires at 7-3's legs to stagger him before sending the android back into the ground. Shimareka spots that 7-3 is losing battery and commands the android to grab Gohan's neck instead. However, the half Saiyan is able to evade his clutches and charges up a Kamehameha ready to make 7-3 look like a headless horseman. The android has no choice but to turn off Piccolo's stock, which reverts him back to normal size, but Gohan fires his beam anyway, pressuring 7-3 to switch to someone else's stock, Moro's. This allows 7-3 to munch on Gohan's ki wave, and Moro is fuming that the android is already using his abilities, because that means 7-3's stock has to be replenished again by grabbing the goat's neck, which even makes him feel uneasy. Moro then starts watching the battle unfold on the big TV as if it was a Premier League game, and 7-3 uses their energy absorption to only target the Z fighters, allowing for Shimareka and Yumba to absolutely violate them. Gohan gets pinned to the ground by Yumba and starts getting hit by the most devious headshots, and Piccolo is watching this in absolute despair because he went out of his way to give Gohan his demon clothes just to get completely embarrassed in them. But Namekian then exclaims that even if they die today, Goku and Vegeta will return to Earth to absolutely destroy them, and Moro hears this and realizes that if he just waits a little bit, then he can chomp down on the biggest banquet that the multiverse has ever seen. The goat must have been so desperate because he can't stand eating any more lunch served by the galactic prison. Moro orders his convicts to retreat from Earth for the time being because he plans to devour the whole planet only when Goku and Vegeta arrive. Yumba looks disappointed that he can't put the half Saiyan out of his misery, and we really need to study Gohan's decline, because how are you gonna go from being evenly matched with Kefla to getting violated by a guy that doesn't even fit into a regular sized photo in the very next arc? Shimareka then tells the Z fighters that they're returning in Galactic Cycle 7, which is equivalent to 20 days, but Jarko begs for them to push it back to Cycle 8 since Goku and Vegeta won't arrive in time. The convict accepts the offer and the three of them return back to base using the portals that were made earlier, and we have to give Jarko his flowers for being useful for once because he was able to extend the Z fighters grace period to 2 months. If you're enjoying the video so far and want to see more manga content, please do subscribe. Meanwhile, Whis is spectating Goku's training with Merus using his staff, and he's actually waiting at Zeno's front doorstep. The Grand Priest goes to greet his son, wondering if Whis desires for his universe to be saved.
Fuck no, baby!
This is because angels have to remain neutral, meaning that he can't pick between good or evil, and instead wants some clarity for the angel laws. The Grand Priest clocks that Whis wants to talk about the matter of Merus, and it's finally revealed that he's not just a regular patrolman, but also is an angel in training that was dispatched to Universe 7 to broaden his perspective. However, Merus joining the Galactic Patrol to observe the light side had the knock-on effect of him gaining a bias, which means that he's on the cusp of violating the angel's code of conduct. Whis attempts to persuade his dad to allow him to look after Merus himself by mentioning that the angel in training has limited himself to mortal weapons and is actually only training Goku. Whis further backs Merus' corner by saying that he's also been training mortals as well, and this eventually causes the Grand Priest to budge, but he also wants to make sure that he does not lose an angel, troublemaker or not. Meanwhile, Vegeta's all tuckered out after all that Yardrat training, and Elder Paibara notices that Vegeta's spirit is even more polished than Goku's, and as he's about to teach the Saiyan instant transmission, a spaceship crashes into the Yardrat city, which is also carrying more of Moro's men. Vegeta arrives on the scene and Yuzun is ready to dox the Saiyan, so Vegeta makes an energy ball to destroy the walkie-talkie, but accidentally makes it way too big and fires it, destroying the entire city. And this perfectly displays the fruits of Vegeta's Yardrat training. Yuzun was really trying to do his best Namek Goku impression because he goes like,
I won't let you get away with this!
And pops out his very own monster form. Vegeta reminisces the time that he blew a hole in Zarbon and proceeds to give him a knuckle sandwich, block the overhead before sending him right into the clouds. Yuzun hurtles a building hardened with ki towards the prince, so he knocks it away like it's hot potato, which forces Yuzun to push it into the air, and this buys enough time for the Saiyan to plant his feet into the convict's torso. Yuzun attempts to distract Vegeta by mentioning that Moro is going after Earth, and this actually ended up working to allow the criminal to flee. But before Vegeta could finish him off, the building from earlier catches Yuzun's ship on the way down to end the criminal's life. Mirako exclaims that they should return back to Earth, but Vegeta senses that the planet remains untouched. Without knowing about the 2-month grace period, Vegeta hurries Paibara to finally teach him a technique that could take down Moro. Anywho, Merus is ready to spar with Goku one last time before heading to Earth, and he charges up to unleash his full power, but the pair of them get forced out of the pyramid. Whis was the one that intervened in their training, and Merus was so shook that he goes,
Hey,
brother.
Hearing that has Goku finally realizing that Merus was an angel all along, and Whis berates his brother for trying to use his full power against Goku since that still counts as a battle. The angel is even more upset that Merus was going to join Goku in jumping the goat, and this leaves the Saiyan questioning what happens if an angel does fight. So Whis bluntly tells him that angels that violate the code are eradicated from existence like a Thanos snap, and interestingly enough, that's the only way that an angel can die. Whis states that Merus is now his responsibility and gives his brother his angelic uniform whilst also making him do the Michael Jackson. Merus apologizes to Goku for not seeing it through to the very end, but he entrusts all of his faith into Goku before exiting the mortal realm with Whis. However, there's one small problem. Goku has to pilot the ship himself all the way back to Earth. With Goku trying to tap into Ultra Instinct once again, you should honestly click here to see the angelic techniques debut in the manga.